Hi, Les from Thailand here, retired and living the dream. Today is going to be a good day to release this video. This is a video that's been sort of in the wings for a long time. I've been waiting for some positive information with regard to the pensions and the expats. The pensions being frozen if you're living in Thailand. I've done several videos with regard to this, there's a loophole in where you can claim your pension contributions by living in a reciprocal country for 6 months. Now again, all the information that I put on the video were backed up by the Department of Work and Pensions, and the information that I was given was also given to several other people who looked into this, and one gentleman, who will remain nameless, actually pulled the trigger and actually went to the Philippines for 6 months, and he was assured by several people from the Department of Work and Pensions the information that I give on the video, the fact that if he lived there for 6 months he would get the increase. But sadly the increase hasn't matured. They've reverted it back to what it was 4 years ago, and I feel gutted and sorry for the guy who was involved. Now I've done a video with regard to a telephone conversation that I did to the Work and Pensions Department. Now again, you can listen to the whole conversation. It's quite frustrating. I've actually reduced it from 35 minutes long down to about, well, less than 20 minutes, including this intro. So if you want to sort of skip the part and you just get to the nitty-gritty where the woman actually changes the tone of voice, and I put some emails and proof of the guys who've actually contacted the Department of Work and Pensions, emails that I've received from them and things like that to actually back up this case, then go ahead and watch the video. And sadly, the guy who came back to Thailand from January, here we are in July, 7 months down the road, and he still hasn't got his increase. So that's the spoiler alert, the fact that he's still waiting and still persisting. The government are just absolutely, I can't say the word on there, how I feel about them. The fact that they're telling you one thing, they will not give you in writing. But anyway, watch the video, see what you think, leave your comments down below.
International Pension Service, this is Julie speaking. How can I help you?
Yes, good afternoon, Julie. It's just a couple of queries, if you don't mind, please. I contacted your office on the 21st of March, and I was talking to Peter, and he assured me that somebody would get back in touch with me by email, as I give him my email address, and here we are a month later and nothing has happened. I also sent a separate email on the 23rd of March, and I did have get a letter or an email back from that one, but the information is very vague.
Okay, you're not in receipt of your pension just yet, Mr. Pearson,
No, I'm not, no.
Okay, I'm going to have to transfer you to the claims team, okay? So I wouldn't be able to answer your questions properly. I could make a stab at them, but I wouldn't be able to do it properly. So I'm just going to give you to the team.
Hello, you're through to the International Pension Centre. Kamal speaking. How can I help you today?
Yes, hello there. I contacted a guy called Peter on the 21st of March with a query, and he said that somebody would email me with an answer, and as yet over a month later we haven't received anything. And then I sent a separate email with a sort of separate question and I got an answer off a girl called Lisa on the 23rd of March. I emailed, but it's still very vague as to the answer that I'm looking for.
Okay, so you don't have your number? What's your details? This is a new call for me, so we will need to re-explain this. What's the call regarding? As we only can assist customers within 6 months of the pension age, but we can't give general advice.
Yeah, well, it's a query with regard to because I'm just over a year away from claiming my pension, and I don't intend to live in the UK. I intend to travel around a bit, but I understand that if you move out of a reciprocal country or you don't live in a reciprocal country, you don't get the annual increases. But
yes, that would be correct. So depending on where you are, though.
Yeah, I understand that. This is why I'm trying to make the call and trying to get a definitive answer, and if I could get one in writing, of course, because I was told that if I lived in the Philippines, which is a reciprocal country, for 6 months, then I'd be able to claim my annual increases. But a friend of mine has done that. He lived in the Philippines for 6 months and then he's moved back to Thailand. So if I live in the Philippines for 6 months, then I supposedly can claim my increases with regard to my pensions. But a guy who's just done this, he got his pension increase while he was in the Philippines, and he lived in the Philippines for 6 months, and then when he moved back to Thailand, his increases stopped. He went back down to what he used to get 4 years ago. Even though he was assured by the Department of Work and Pensions with your numbers, because I give him your numbers, because I told him what potentially he could get the increase, and they assured him that he would be able to claim the increases every year if he lived in the Philippines for 6 months. But they have since said, we are under the impression that you weren't going to live there full time, even though he was told he only had to live there for 6 months. So you can understand my query.
Well, he would need to live there permanently, and if he decides to move, then the rules change again.
Well, where
does
the
rules change depending on what country you live in?
Yeah, well,
if you were to go back and forth from Thailand to Philippines,
yeah, but
it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, but okay, isn't there a reciprocal agreement? Like if you lived in a reciprocal country for 6 months, you would get your Department of Work and Pensions increases every year. If you live 6 months from April to April, this is the confusing thing, because I've already been told this.
But did he move after 6 months? Did he decide to move to another country?
Yeah, but why have the reciprocal agreement for 6 months?
So
if he moves back to Thailand, it's going to stop.
The reciprocal agreement is when you're in that country. If you move back to the UK, you get UK benefits again. If you go to the Philippines, you get the reciprocal agreement between the UK and the Philippines. If you go to Thailand, there is no reciprocal agreement. It's where you are living at that time.
I agree with that, but why have this? If you lived in, this is what it was explained to me. This is what I'm seeking clarification for.
So it's just the way. It's just the rules. We can't do anything about that.
Well,
countries like Canada, New Zealand, they don't get anything. They're all frozen rate, and customers live out there.
I understand.
Whenever there's rules for certain countries.
I understand
that. There's nothing else we can do about that.
I understand that, and I've had many conversations with people from your department, and I get totally different stories. So where will I find, or could you send me this information that if I moved to the Philippines for 6 months and then moved away from the Philippines for 6 months because I want to travel around, my pension would be frozen back to its original position?
You will find this information on gov.uk with the list of reciprocal agreement countries. Which tells you and states you what countries will have the same rules that applies as the UK.
I agree with that.
If you decide to move to another country, then that's that country's rules.
But
that is just the way it is.
But okay.
I don't know what you mean by have this in writing. It's online on the gov.uk.
It's online. I agree.
It never states anywhere that you live somewhere 6 months and then
you
can just go travelling to any country and then still get the benefit. That does not make sense.
There is a 185-day rule that if you live in a reciprocal country for 185 days, you are then deemed to have been habitually resident in that country.
Yes, and then you decide to move again
for
a longer period of time, then you're no longer a resident in that country.
Yeah, but that is up to me. So basically you're saying if I move out the UK for more than 6 months of the year, then I ain't going to get my rises either. So what if I
try... where you move, sir. That is depending on where you move.
But if I live in
the reciprocal agreement is between the UK and another country, not the Philippines and Thailand. Like that doesn't work. It needs to be between the UK and that one country that you are living on. You're going to be permanently living on.
You're correct. You're correct in that. What I'm saying, Thailand doesn't.
If you went to Thailand, sorry, can I explain? If you went to Thailand for 6 months and decided to go back to the Philippines, you can get the benefits again. Or if you return to the UK, you can get the benefits again. If you are in a country without a reciprocal agreement, you'll not get the increase. It'll be at the lower rate.
I understand that. But my question is how long would I have to live in the reciprocal country, such as the Philippines, where I could maintain my increase. So you're saying if I move out...
At the whole time, sir, if you decide to move to another country without the same rules, the rules are going to change.
So, okay.
Can I give you an example that might help?
Yes, please.
So say someone that lives in Canada, that's a frozen rate country, they can apply for the increase when they're back in a country that is reciprocal.
Yes.
So the UK for 2 weeks, but you need to prove the dates that you were in the country. You need to prove the timeline that you decided to move back to the country by calling us and giving us the dates. And for that period of time, you can have the increased rate. But if you are living in another country and, you need to be honest, because if they see that you're, moving about, but you're not notifying us when you move or stay somewhere for a longer period of time, they will deduct from your pension, or they will give you, it's depending on where you are, you just need to notify us, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 4 weeks. If you decide to come back to a country with an agreement, you can get an increased rate at that time.
I understand that. But if I give you the information that I got from Lisa, from your office, because I was saying, how long would you have to live in a reciprocal country to be considered it as a permanent move? And the answer that I got from Lisa, that if you are living abroad for 6 months or more, we would then consider it as a permanent move.
Yes, it's permanent, but then you're talking about your friend who lived for 6 months to get that status and then moved again. That is moving. You're not actually staying and residing in that one country.
Yeah, but he went over...
You don't get permanent resident status if you're moving around.
Yeah, but how long?
And
if I move back to the UK...
Forever, sir. You need to be a resident permanently, and then if you move back to a country with an agreement, then the agreement still stands. It's depending on where you are. So
you're telling me...
It doesn't really...
I'm trying to understand this. So
you're not understanding. I am repeating myself.
No, I'm trying to put the question into a simple way. That if I move back to the UK, yes, I'd get my pension rises, yes. How long if I lived in the UK for a year afterwards, after I got my pension increase, and I decided to move away back outside of the UK to another country that wasn't a reciprocal country, you're telling me that my pension then would reduce to what it was before I returned back to the UK? So if I lived back in the UK for more than a year or 2 years, if I lived in the UK for that year...
State pension age, it still will go back to your basic rate. It goes to a frozen rate country of...
Yeah, but wouldn't I still get the increased because I came back to the UK?
Yes, but not the future increases. So if you're going to move, if you want to stay here for a year and your pension goes up by 10%, that is your rate.
I understand.
And if you decide to move away, it's frozen.
At that new rate, yes? This is the crux of the matter.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to get at. I don't care if my rate comes down after I leave let's use the UK as opposed to, say, reciprocal countries such as the Philippines. So what I'm trying to say, if I move back to England for the 6 months, then I would be deemed to get my increases, yes? And if I live there for a year, I'd still get them increases. And then I decided to travel the world, in the UK. So then if I decided to leave the UK 1 year afterwards, or let's just say 11 months, so it isn't the year. So then you're saying if I leave the country, my pension would be decreased to the previous state before I move back to the UK. I'm not bothered about...
Let me double check. I'm going to put you on hold and double check this because it's a bit confusing now with what you're inquiring about. Just bear with me a second.
Okay, much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Sorry about that. I was just getting different clarifications from different agents.
No problem.
That information.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you very much.
No worries. So just firstly, you are under pension age. The rules can change in the future, and I'm only able to give you general advice about the current, right now, if you were to move. But it can change in the future. We just need to let you know that.
Okay, I understand that. So how are the rules if I was claiming at present?
So at present, say you were claiming your pension from your 66th birthday as a UK resident, and you stayed for a couple of years and you got the uplift every April for those couple of years.
Yes.
You decide to move away from the UK
Yes.
your pension rate will be frozen at the rate that you left at. So you will still get that uplift from, the very last, amount that you were at.
Yes, I understand that.
And you left to go to a frozen rate country.
Yep.
Then it'll be frozen at that rate.
Yes.
If you were in a reciprocal agreement country, then you're still going to get the increases.
Right.
You will need to come back for 6 months.
Yes.
If you want to increase your pension again for 6 months.
Yes.
And be a resident again.
For
to
just
get the new increase. And then if you were to leave again, it will still be at that rate.
So for 6 months, it's like what I was saying before.
Needs to be 6 months.
Needs to be 6 months in a reciprocal country.
Yeah, if you're there for a shorter period of time in a reciprocal agreement country, you can apply for the increased rate for that amount of time.
Yep.
But once you go back again, it's going to go back to the normal rate.
But wouldn't it
unless you were away for 6 months.
Yeah, but wouldn't it get frozen at the new rate if I lived there for 6 months?
Yeah, so you can still apply for an uplift for the 2 weeks that you decide to visit the UK. Does that make sense? If you were to come back, I'm just talking about holidays.
I understand that.
Coming back for a short amount of time.
I understand that.
If you were to come back for more than 6 months,
yes,
the increase will stay. So if you were to come back to the UK for over 6 months, you came back to become a resident again in a country with an agreement with the same rules.
Yes.
So then you get the April increase.
Yes.
And if you decide to leave again, it's going to be that rate that you left at again.
Okay, right. Thank you very much for that. Where could you send me that in as an email just to confirm that? Because I've looked.
I can send you a general advice email about reciprocal agreements and moving abroad, but I can't really type out what I've just spoke to you.
Yeah, well,
we only have the format of information that we can give.
Yeah, well, I've got that. I've got all the information because I've looked extensively online for it, and this is what I'm trying to find out, because what happened to my friend who's actually claiming his pension, that he did move to the Philippines for 6 months, habitually resident in the Philippines for 6 months. He found out that he couldn't afford to live there. It was more expensive to live in the Philippines, is why he moved back to Thailand. And he was told repeatedly that he would be able to still claim, although that the new rate would be frozen at that rate. But what they actually did...
So I can't comment on your friend because there's other situations. I can't view his file, I can't view his situation, I cannot comment on that.
Yeah,
what I've given you is the information that I've been given under 2 supervisors.
Yes.
And I can send you an email listing the reciprocal agreement. The rules can change in the future, but I can only give you this. If you want official writing logged in the system, you need to speak to Futures. We can only log something when you're within pension age. I can just send you the general advice that we have on file. You're not within pension age, it shouldn't even be with our department. Okay,
so it is as what I've suggested then. If I live in a reciprocal country for 6 months, if I was claiming my pension now, I would be able to, if I moved outside of that reciprocal country, my pension would be given to me at that new rate, yes?
It depends what country we're talking about.
A reciprocal country.
If it's the EU, Thailand, Bermuda, or USA.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm saying the Philippines.
Any other countries?
So the Philippines is a reciprocal country. So the question that I asked was that if I lived in the Philippines for 6 months, then I'd get the new increase. And then if I left the Philippines to go travelling, because I lived in a reciprocal country for more than the 6 months, I would get the new rate, which would then be frozen once I left that country at that new rate. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. As I say, that's some clarification at least from yourself. Thanks very much for that. But I would much prefer it in writing, and I do appreciate that the rules will change in the future. But as you can imagine, I'm just over a year away from getting my pension. So these are the type of questions that I need to ask myself, because other people have been told that, yes, they can claim it, and have been stopped by the Department of Work and Pensions. So this is where I'm trying to get something in writing before I actually pull the trigger and go and do my travels. So I hope...
Well, it'd be best for you to check closer to the time as well, because like I said, rules and reciprocal agreements can always change, the law can always change.
Yes.
What I've given you is the current status of right now.
Okay.
It may not change, obviously, because it's only a year away, but that is always something you need to be aware of.
Okay.
For me, I can only send you the general advice email that we have on our form to send. I can't send you an email typing out what I've just said. Unfortunately, we can't do that.
Okay.
Well, if you want an official letter, you need to go to Future Pensions. I can't log anything on the system because our
Right.
until you're 4 months within the pension age.
Okay, so even if I wrote to the future pensions now, I still wouldn't get I wouldn't get any clarification from them because I'm not claiming my pension yet.
Future pensions are there for customers who are not claiming their pension yet. We're the department for customers who are claiming the pension.
Right.
So they actually may be able to assist you a bit more, but
yeah, well, it was future pensions.
We're new claims for claiming pensions.
Yeah.
There's changes to deal with uplifts as well. There's different departments that may have more information.
Yeah,
That's the International Pensions Claims Team.
It was the futures pensions that actually transferred me to yourself because they said they wouldn't be able to help me, so this is why I'm speaking to you now.
Well, it should be that department. Their categories, any customer before 6 months of pension age.
Okay.
So that is on their fault. And I've spoken to my colleagues. It should be with futures, not ourselves.
Okay.
But I've already advised you with what is the rules of this time.
Okay.
And I can send you in a general advice email about reciprocal agreement countries. And that's all I could really
Yeah, well, I've just got that from Lisa, so basically it'd be a copyright of the same information we've got, and I've already got already. So, okay, anyway, thanks very much for your clarification, and very much appreciated, and have a good day.
Yes, you too. Okay,
Thank you. Bye-bye.